This afternoon's workshop, one of the things that almost everyone misses about church is singing. So we are so happy that singer-songwriter Leah Morris could join us and discuss her current musical journey as a composer, teacher, band leader, music director, parent, and perpetual student. Leah is going to help us rethink how we can create music as individuals and in community. So let's get outside of the box of music as usual. Please join me in welcoming Leah Morris.
Aloha, everyone. I am Leah, and I am all the way on the other side of the country. I am in Washington, D.C., or 20 minutes from there. And I thought, since we're gathering together for a conference, for a workshop, that we should be in a very austere and serious setting. And then I thought, a lot of what I'm sharing is going to be technical in nature, so maybe we should go to my music studio. And then I thought, honestly, I just want to be comfortable. I want to be off the cuff, honest, and invite you to do the same. So the best thing we can do is just relax, get to know each other a little bit, make some music, and get outside the box. Box, you say. Box. Well, the box kind of plopped down on me in the same way that it plopped down on everybody. I went from one day to the next, from expecting most of my work and my livelihood, my self-expression outside of the home, which initially had been performances of my original music, teaching preschoolers, and performing in churches. That was pretty much how I worked. And from one day to the next, that was no longer available. I know you can relate. I know we have all been in the midst of that massive instant change. And I required a grieving period. And once I got past the grieving, I was able to ask myself, what was I grieving? What was missing? What was the problem? What did I want? What I wanted was to still be able to share music, to make music, and to connect with people through music. So was that still available now that everything had changed, everything I was used to? And the answer is absolutely yes. When we're willing to kind of kick a hole here and there and here and there and maybe like open up the entire ceiling of the box, we realize that the core of what music means to us is still available. That connection, that opportunity to touch one another deeply is maybe more available now than it ever has been, and is certainly important in ways that we haven't acknowledged before now. So I'm going to start with a song that maybe you know. I grew up in the Southern Baptist tradition. It's a song that we sang frequently together. And if you don't already know it, I'll be willing to bet you'll know it by the time we're done singing it. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, going home to my Lord to be free. So we learned that as a spiritual, as a song that was sung by the slaves. Is that familiar to anyone? Switching over to gallery view there. Can you give me a thumbs up if you've heard that one before? Hiya, hiya. Yes, good. I'm glad that's familiar to you. What I love about that so-called slave song is that it echoes the message of one of our founding fathers who said, give me liberty or give me death. Before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. So let's sing for justice now. If you have heard it before, please sing out for justice. Oh, justice. Oh, justice. Oh, justice grace over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, going home to my Lord to be free. No more crying. No more crying. No more crying. No more crying over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried, going home to my Lord to be free. They'll be singing. They'll be singing. They'll be singing. They will be singing over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, going home to my Lord to be free. One more verse. Let's sing "Oh Freedom" just as loud as you can. Oh freedom, oh freedom, oh freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, going home to my Lord to be free. And the one thing that's different is that we can't hear each other. And at first, it felt like that was everything, right? Like that was the loss that we could not withstand, is the not being able to hear each other and feel the vibration of each other's voices. But that is where I think all of us started. Okay, so we have Zoom, and Zoom is kind of a miracle, right? Because if this had been 50 years ago, what would we have had? So we are really, really blessed beyond measure in this time just to have Zoom with all its quirks and weirdnesses and occasional breakdowns. We have this tool. And the most basic thing we can do is present songs to each other that are very singable, right? They're either already familiar to us, they're already part of our common canon, or they're easy to learn, like "Oh Freedom." If you didn't know the song when I started singing it, you know it now, and you might never forget it. It's that kind of song. It gets into your bones. It belongs to all of us. And so I've been singing a lot of that kind of song. And another thing I've been doing with songs that are familiar is using my trusty, dusty looper to give them new life. I can't hear you now, but we'll open that up and we'll change that. But I can't hear you, and you can't hear the harmonies that the person in the square next to you is making. But there are tools beyond this Zoom. I attended a song swap early in the Zoomosphere, and with a woman named Coco Love Alcorn, who is a Canadian songwriter and community singer, and she had this. Have you ever seen this thing? This is a looper. So she had a tabletop looper, and this one is the Boss RC505. And I couldn't see it because of where she had it, right? So here it is. Now you see it. Now you don't. It's not there. It's invisible. It doesn't exist. But she was singing with herself. And I thought, how? What is this? What is this magic? And so I immediately brought one of these into my world. And one of the first things that I did was practice on the looper doing a mashup of spirituals that I had put together for a community where I sometimes lead songs. And the 4 songs that came together for me before this year are more meaningful now than they ever were in my childhood or when I was thinking about putting them together. I'll just give you a brief overview of what they mean to me, and I'll sing them. If they're familiar to you, please sing along. If they're not familiar to you yet, I believe they will be very shortly. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from home. How long, how long, how long must we cry in vain? I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing, and march when the Spirit says to march around. I wanna shout when the Spirit says shout, and watch the walls come tumbling down. So very simply, I could probably speak for the entire hour on what these songs mean to me, but I've seen them as a sort of cycling of the seasons, a cycling of energy, a cycling of my ability to meet the constant barrage of challenges that this year has presented. So the first song, I actually don't start with Joshua. I start with Motherless Child. It's a song that anyone can relate to. It's a song about someone who feels like they have no support, no succor, no nourishment in this environment, in the environment they're in. It's desolation, motherless child. And then there's the song, How Long Must We Cry in Vain? That makes me think of Langston Hughes' question of what becomes of a dream deferred, right? And that it shrivels up in the sun like a raisin. And everyone has had the experience of feeling like something they wanted to attain or experience was deferred, was just out of reach. And then I sing Joshua, or as my grandma would say, Josh, you fit the battle of Jericho. And that's a story we all know of someone who was triumphant because he listened to an inner voice or a higher calling to do something completely outlandish, to get as far outside of the box. Oh, that is not how you fight a battle. Walk around and then blow your horns. But that's what he was inspired to do. It's what he did, and that is how he won the day. And then there's the final call. I'm going to sing when the Spirit says sing, because that's my Joshua. That's my calling. I'm going to march when the Spirit says to march. I'm going to shout when the Spirit says shout. And the walls will come down. I'm going to watch them come down. When I listen to the highest and the best voice, the highest calling, whatever I'm inspired to do, whether it's a little weird or whether it's completely typical, it always, always results in a gift and a blessing. So let's sing, and we're going to loop those songs together. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, lost we cry in vain. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I Thank you. And I hope you were singing because that is absolutely the point. So let me introduce another song that maybe it's not an introduction at all. Maybe it's just something that's familiar to you. I learned it for the first time last year from Dr. Issei Barnwell, who sings with Sweet Honey in the Rock. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Oh. If that song is familiar to you, can you show me a thumbs up? I see a couple of thumbs raised. Excellent, excellent. So, a short while ago, I staged an experiment, a bit of a coup of the Zoom thing. And what I'm going to do now is invite those people who have heard that song before to unmute, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. The question is, so the message of the song is, everyone knows that sometimes there are energies, individuals, in the Bible it says principalities, there are forces that will try to impede us on our journey, that will try to stop us from accomplishing what we're here to do. We've got our eyes on the prize, but but this is happening. Oh, wow, look over there. Oh, my goodness, can you believe it? And this song says, I ain't gonna let no, fill in the blank. The most basic form of it is, I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. And it's sung in such a way, I think they call them zipper songs. It's sung in such a way that you can put in whatever is relevant for you. So let me start by asking, Anake, is that how I pronounce your name correctly? I thought your thumb went up. Is that accurate? Did you know this song? Have you heard it before? I see that you're unmuted, but I can't hear you if you're speaking. Can you say hi just so we know we can hear you?
Aloha.
Aloha. Are you familiar with this song?
I was familiar with that turnaround one.
Ah, the turnaround?
That's like Joshua.
Ah, yes. Excellent. I'm glad. Have you heard this one about ain't gonna let nobody turn me around?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So what is a verse that you like to sing when you say, I'm not going to let any whatever? Some people say no racism. Some people say no sexism. And usually it's something with 2 or 3 syllables. Is there anything that you want to sing to? Say, no more.
Oh, Jesus is mine.
Say again, please.
Jesus is mine.
All right. I absolutely respect that. Is there anyone who would like to sing about something that they feel is sometimes holding them back? Yes, Lauren? You'll have to unmute, but I see Lauren Medeiros. What would you want to sing about, Lauren?
They have to do the unmuting, so
I understand.
People have to unmute. So I was going to say COVID.
I hear that. I hear that loud and clear. Ain't gonna let no COVID. All right. So Can I get someone else to chime in on something that you're not going to let turn you around? Now, I can't see everybody all at once here, so I hope that the Zoom masters can and will help me if someone wants to share. I see Uluwehe, I think is your name, and you're kind of toying with stuff, maybe trying to unmute and share something with us. And by good fortune, I see that somebody said earthquakes. All right, right on, no earthquakes. If I can get one more, we will march forward with this song. No fear and no doubt, right on. And when I sing this song to myself, when it's just me and I'm the audience and I'm the performer, that's what I sing. I sing, I'm not going to let my own fear. So I will sing that on the third go round. Now, the real, the real challenging experiment is, for example, Lauren, who shared not wanting to let COVID turn you around. Would you be confident to sing it? If I sing one more time, Lauren, would, brilliant, I love it, intrepid, and just intrepid. You just have to throw yourself right in. And I didn't see whose names said no earthquake and no fear, but I certainly extend the same invitation. Would you like to sing? Ah, click, and there's the chat, so now I can see. This was Makukane, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Melvin. Would you guys want to sing? Oh, I'm going to let no earthquake swallow me up. I missed that part, but yeah, that just puts a whole new level on it. So if you don't sing it, I will sing it in your stead, in your energy. All right? So Lauren, I'm going to sing Gonna Let Nobody, and then I'm going to turn it over to you to sing Gonna Let No COVID. Here we go. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Oh,
Ain't gonna let no COVID turn me around. Turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no COVID turn me around. I'm gonna keep on a walking, I keep on a talking. I'm marching to the glory land.
amazing. I love it so much. Now I know why you were confident. You were ready. Would anyone else like to sing? I see a head shaking no. I see a it's kind of new territory because it is your soloing, right? It's all you. There will be other opportunities if you have to warm up to the idea. All right, here we go. Ain't gonna let no earthquake swallow me up. My word, swallow me up. Swallow me up. Ain't gonna let no earthquake swallow me up. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Oh, ain't gonna let my own fear turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna you so much for helping me show that that can work. And it is a total experiment. As soon as it's more than one person unmute, it's just like anything can happen. And you know what? I think that's kind of a gift, right? Because sometimes what happens is exactly what we want, and sometimes it's not. And boy, that I learned this year to let go of attachment to how things have to turn out and just have our hearts open and be in the moment and allow the highest and best to present itself. So again, thank you so much, Lauren, and thank you to the other people who contributed your ideas. And not everybody has to unmute and sing. Every contribution, just your smiling faces, just your presence is a gift in this time. So a very common new habit for me is taking a walk and receiving the gift of a song. I've been taking a daily walk for years. But walking with the openness to receive a song is a relatively new pastime for me. After I had that initial meltdown, oh my God, I can't do that. I went for a walk the next day and I asked the question point blank, so what am I supposed to do? And the answer was, keep your heart wide open. And the gift came as a song. And it came in layers, and I have GarageBand on my phone, so I just kept, recording parts and harmonies. And it was a way I hadn't made music since I was a kid. My mother taught me to sing harmonies a cappella with her brothers and sisters, and we would travel to different churches and do that. But I hadn't done that since I was a kid. I was pretty much, folk guitarist, singing my own songs. But the Spirit was very, very clear and adamant that there are messages to be shared in very small chunks with harmonies. And first they are for me as a salve to my spirit during the challenge. And then I share them. If anybody wants to get in on that energy, I know it's a gift to me and maybe it is to someone else. So far we have sung familiar songs together. And we've used the looper to kind of, simulate harmonies together in real time. And then we swapped verses so that we were able to hear more than one person's voice during the song. And another thing that has been very rich for me during this time is discussion. So we had some of that with the COVID, the earthquakes, and the fear. There was some brief suggestions. What I'd like to invite now, I'm going to sing one of those short songs, tell you how I've been using it, and then invite some discussion. So get your mind ready for the idea of unmuting again to talk. We're just going to talk, no singing pressure. But this is a song that is a few weeks old, maybe a couple of weeks old. That's been just a beautiful gift to me. Once it becomes familiar to you, please sing along. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in just as you are, just as you are, just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in just as you are, just as you are, just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept, just as you are. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in just as you are, just as you are, just as you are without changing Just as you are without changing a thing. Just as you are, I accept. Just as you are, see you right. Welcome you in just as you are. Just as you are. And the first time I realized what a gift that song was the following day. I was going to fuss at my 20-year-old over something I always fuss at her about because she never changes it. And then I realized, I sang that song to myself. And the desire to argue and fuss and point out her wrongdoing just fell away because it's not the point. I'm grateful she's in my life. I'm grateful that she is well, that she's generally respectful. There was so much more to be grateful for than to bicker and pick at her about. And when I realized, oh boy, this is healing medicine, I started using it everywhere. Using it in my partnership, using it in circumstances, right? Like things are happening that I don't like and I can sing to that thing. Just as you are, situation. You don't have to change because what matters is how I respond to you. What matters is what's happening inside of me. There are facts on the ground. There are things going down. But what matters is how I respond to it. So then I started using it on people in political situations. And, same thing. I can't change you. I can't change you. But I can change myself. I can accept you and love you. Because that's what we're called to do. That is our first call as disciples, right? It's to love our neighbors, to love all, indiscriminately, unconditionally. And then comes back around to ourselves, right? Because if you're going to love others, you've got to love yourself. So anyway, the song has been a gift to me. And I'm wondering if there's anyone in your life or any situation that you have to bless, that it would be a blessing to you to drop those hot coals and just move forward with acceptance and love. I'm inviting conversation, so feel free to unmute and talk to me. Tell me what's going on and how the song or this concept might be a blessing to you. You all are so well behaved. I appreciate that. Absolutely.
I am trying to unmute everybody. I don't know if Naholo can help me, but I'm trying to give everybody the opportunity to unmute themselves. And I'm having a little difficulty.
I understand.
Naholo, can you help us?
Actually, Julie, we can unmute ourselves because I just
You
did.
can now? Oh, okay,
can,
perfect.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead, everybody. Thank you.
So, Leah, I'm Anila from Wyola on Maui. I can't sing for a dang, so it's so lucky that everybody's muted, including myself. So I sing aloud very loudly in my privacy of my own home, which I love it. So thank you very much. I do want to say I am shocked that nobody's unmuted and talked because this group are ones that always have things to share. So I'll leave it at that and let them share from here.
Thank you for that. And it certainly is an invitation. There's no pressure associated. I'm just presenting to you some ways that I've been able to engage with music. This is different than what we're used to, but that are still rich and meaningful. So for me, having discussion around songs gives us an opportunity. We can't hear each other singing necessarily, singing them at the same time, but we can discuss what they mean to us and, how they are enriching us. And for me to hear your voice, for me to hear your challenge, your triumph, it makes me bigger, it makes me more of myself. Just listening to you gives me a gift I can't express. So what I will do now, is I will share another song that came as a gift, a little friend gave my kids. And I listened to some of the songs and I liked them. It was a lot of fun. And then we got to this one song and I had to pull over on the side of the road to be safe because it just touched me deeply. And so I've been singing it for a few years since I received that gift. But it has never felt more meaningful than this year. Another thing I could talk about for hours and hours. I live in a very diverse area. I grew up in a very diverse area, so I have friends from all different backgrounds, and I am privy to the very clear idea that everybody was created by the same creator and is equally beautiful. I hear a voice. Someone want to chime in? Voice? Someone want to chime in? Aha. And then here come the dangers of the unmuting. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share this song. It's by Jimmy Hammer and Dave Kinoy. And
you have to leave it here?
Leave it over there.
And off we go. I see my neighbor. And I wake up in America. I see my neighbors there with every type of clothes and shoes, hats and skin and hair, every fine belief and custom. Scores of songs from who knows where. When I wake up in America, our stories fill the air. Wake up, despierta. Wake up, despierta. Wake up in America. The light in the harbor shines for us all. When I wake up, I see the kids playing happily swaying. Good to be staying in a place like this, with a face like this. When I wake up in America, I put away my fear, and I love my name as myself, and I say, I'm glad that you're here. We have found ourselves together in a land we dreamed could be. When we wake up in America, everybody will be free. Wake up, despierta. Wake up, despierta. Wake up, please, America. The light in the harbor shines for us all. When I wake up, when you wake up, when we wake up in America. So I hope that came through clearly for everyone. First of all, the sound and the video. Another thing that I've learned in the last 6 months is video editing. I really wasn't doing any of that before the lockdown, and it has just been another way to collaborate with friends, to collaborate with strangers, to be connected, to create something together, even though we're in different spaces. So right now, I want to take a moment for questions and answers. I can ask some questions. I've asked some questions, but if you have any of me, I'll do my best. I'll answer as well as I can.
Hello.
Hi.
This is Eileen.
Hi, Eileen.
From Maui. I heard that song, and I loved the words as I heard it. And I think most of us want to feel comfortable about waking up in America, where we all have the same rights as everyone else. But as I go back to the conversation that you wanted on accepting us without changing, I have a hard time politically accepting some of what's happening, especially now when we know that there's not going to be any kind of relief for people who are unemployed. I have a hard time ascribing to that, and that's just my statement. So I can forgive my child and knowing that they're wrong, and maybe I can look at someone else and accept them without them changing a thing. But I'm having a really hard time with what's going on in our nation. That's all I
appreciate that. That's so perfect. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you. Because I agree with you. There are some things that are going on and have gone on that are unacceptable. And I think that for me, I won't speak for anyone else, that my first step is to accept and recognize that things are as they are, right?
Yes.
To say, this is the current reality. And this is the fear I have around it. This is the pain I have around it. This is the result of the story I'm telling myself about the situation. And then when I have acknowledged what hurts and why it hurts, I have a better vantage point from which to say, you know what? I feel love anyway. And love is my foundational inspiration. And from this point of love, I can say that this is not okay. This situation that's hurting me, and I'm going to move towards, I'm going to face what I prefer, but I feel like I'm a kind of person who's been so optimistic. I'm a natural optimist, but I am learning this year to feel my pain, to feel my grief, and to honor it. In honoring it, I learn where I'm really supposed to be focusing, right? Like the Bible says we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, but we fear no evil, right? So stuff is going to happen that we don't like. And that when I say accept it, I really appreciate what you're saying so much because it's making me think more deeply about what I mean. I believe that to accept it means to honor where we are, honor our pain, and then move through it with love towards what we know is better for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can, yeah.
Okay. I had a sense, I love the song. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I had this sense of not only waking up physically, but awakening spiritually and emotionally to all that's going on. And then that connects me at what Eileen was just saying. That connects me to sense my responsibility to try and do what I can do to make a difference. So I really connected at the sort of the awakening level of it that really brought me there, and helped me to realize that so often, even though I may be physically awake and my eyes are open, my heart can be closed and really asleep, not wanting to see the pain and the struggles all around me. So I thank you for sharing that.
And thank you for sharing that. You know, I feel like there's so many levels with those lyrics, the wake up idea. Just like you said, there's the physical wake up, right? Like literally, there are a couple of verses that I didn't sing where it talks about literally waking up and starting your day and everybody's there under the same sky. And then there's the level of something that occurred to me later. We all talk about the American dream. Many people are familiar with Dr. King's dream and the idea of waking up in a more figurative sense as a nation in that dream, right? Where the American dream is available to everyone, where Dr. King's dream is available to everyone. And then when you were speaking, it made me think about what millennials say. Have you ever heard somebody say, oh, now you're woke? Like, now you're aware on a different level. And it made me think of a quote, I think, by Rumi, who talks about don't go back to sleep. Now, you know, the gates are open, don't go back to sleep. So there's so many levels for us in that, just that idea of wake up and being awake. Yeah, thank you. I see in the chat that somebody mentioned Despierta. My friend Andres Salguero, who sang in that video, is the person who gave me the CD in the first place, and I love him so dearly. He's a children's musician, originally from Colombia. And I had, like I said, I was used to singing the song solo, so really there was just me and my guitar. And Arch Alcantara sings and plays guitar, and then Kristen Jones played cello. In the center is Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson doing beautiful interpretive ASL. And then Andres was up in the corner. And the first time I heard him echo wake up with Despierta, waterworks, such intense waterworks. Because part of the waking up we have to do, in my opinion, is embracing, you know, our immigrant brothers and sisters, recent immigrant brothers and sisters, some of whom speak only Spanish right now. And it just, you know, despierta, wake up. Wake up to the beauty that we have for each other in our tapestry, in our commonality, and in our differences. So yeah, despierta for sure.
Leah, this is Julie. There's another question in the chat. Lauren is wondering, is there a way to share some singing, some songs that churches could use for their virtual worship? And if you could speak a little bit about the copyright issues.
Well, I will say that if Lauren is interested in songs that I have sung or recorded, I will make sure, or somebody will make sure, that my website and my YouTube channel are available. And from the beginning of the shutdown, someone asked whether or not I would make my music available. And the answer is completely, entirely yes, absolutely. That's why I believe it's given to me, is so that I can share it. So what I said to her from the beginning still stands. The music is there. Most of what I've recorded in this time is on YouTube, which means it's available for free. If it soothes you and it brings you something beautiful, please use it in whatever way works for you. Please also know that in order for me to continue to make this music and feed my kids and pay my mortgage and do all those things, I've been blessed with donations from people who have been moved by the music. So I have a website, an archive, where I do charge for organizations and churches and individuals who are able to pay a fixed rate. But my first priority is sharing. And in order to do so, it is a great gift to me when people like you at this conference invite me to share and are able to exchange, an honorarium for that. So it all works out. I have no worries at all, and it is my joy to share. So in answer to your question, Lauren, please use the music. If you feel inspired to donate something, I will gratefully accept it. as far as copyright with other people's music, I am not the most educated person on that topic. And I think to some extent, everybody might have a different answer. There's probably a legal answer that I don't know. So I do know that your church has an archive, because I was asked to submit a couple of things to that, where there is a contract right up front. You're going to receive this much, and we're going to take these recordings, and they're going to be available to our church. I also hope that Julie or Lori or someone can put that link in the box. And I know the same thing exists for the Unitarian Church. And so, I think under different umbrellas, people are doing different things to provide music for virtual worship. I hope that's helpful.
I think everybody, a lot of us first get into the lament part, like in Psalms, and then by the second half, we're into the praising part. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the times we feel inadequate, and in our inadequacy, we finally make the turn into being valued, because we come to grips with our own humanity and the divine, with grace and forgiveness. Like I just had written this one thing, and in my humanity, I said, I've come to serve. And so the words go, who am I to speak of you, to think that I can mention you? For I am but the least of these who comes to you on bended knees. And who am I to call your name? A sinner still I come, ashamed. But through your gracious heart, you said, come follow on this path I led. And I said, Lord, I've come to serve. And I think that's where we are now that the COVID has come into a sufficient length of time where we know that this is our new normal, and we have left all of the burden at God's feet and go, okay, I'm done with the lamenting, and now I'm here to serve.
That's right. Absolutely. And that was a beautiful, beautiful stanza. Is that a poem, or have you written it as a song? What is?
Yeah, it's a song. Yeah, it's a song.
It's beautiful. So I've put my website and YouTube into the chat, and I just saw someone request that Ken sing his song. I'm absolutely, my ears are open. I'd love to hear it. If you'd like to share.
I'll try. Sure, why not? Why not? Oh. Who am I to speak of you? To think that I can mention you? Who am I? Oh, wait. For I am but the least of these who comes to you on bended knees. Who am I to call your name? A sinner now I come ashamed. But through your gracious heart you said, follow on this path I led. And I said, Lord, I've come to serve, that you may shine. I lay my life out on the line. I hear your voice, read your call. I promise, Lord, to give my all. I've come to serve. Something like that, but stuff.
Entirely like that. Well, you guys have been definitely a gift to me tonight where I am, this afternoon where you are. I think I'm going to sing a couple of refrains of, so I guess the theme song for me for this year. Thank you so much, Kin. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Naholo. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Lori. Thank you to everyone whose name I didn't get to learn. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time together. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open until your faith brings you back to solid ground. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open. Although the waves want to push you around. Although the waves want to push me around. You've got to keep. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open until my faith brings me back to solid ground. Until my faith brings me back to solid ground. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open. Although the waves want to push you around. Although the waves want to push me around. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open until my faith brings me back to solid ground. Until my faith brings me back to solid ground. I believe mahalo is correct for thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Well, friends, we've come to the end of our time this afternoon. Thank you so much, Leah, for being with us and sharing your music and ideas with us. And folks, no worry, we'll be sure to get Leah's information on our website. Thank you again, Leah, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Have a good afternoon. We'll see you.